Hello, people. We are back at To The Podcast, episode 178, and we are back. It is
your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And it's your boy, International Walt. We happy to be here. We happy
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
We happy to be here to bring y'all another episode of us. Y'all know y'all can catch us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Podchaser, Google Podcasts, and Player FM. Let's get right to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great today. I'm a 10. Mentally, I am a 10. I feel magnificent.
This should be like a golden buzzer, like AGT. And fucking shit come down. Especially if you get a 4 for 4.
Okay, let's get there. Yeah, I feel magnificent. No, we're not gonna be a 4-4 because we give ourselves some wiggle room with the finance.
But we've had 10
we
in
have.
the past.
We have.
And that's what I'm saying. It's been once or twice. But go ahead, I digress.
All right. I don't want to force it though. But yes, I am magnificent. I feel great. I have been really trying to stay focused on my prayer life, and I see it like coming to. I see the fruit of it, and I ain't talking about like no materialistic things or like just the small things. Well, I'm not gonna say small, minimize things, but just the things we pray for in life. Like the spiritual growth I see in my husband is something that could make me cry if I think too much about it. Not like he was some heathen, but just something that I've prayed for, something that I've prayed for, and I see in him, and the growth between us, the communication between us, like. It just makes you feel so good when you see, God doing what God does, but the proof of it always still feels good. So
the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I feel amazing. See him blessing other people in my life. My sister called me today. She was telling me about some things going on, like in her work life. She's like, pray for me. This was yesterday, maybe the day before. So the day she called me, she said, what did you say to God about me? And literally this morning.
Little sister, little sister?
Middle sister. Yeah, little sister. Yeah, not little sister. Literally this morning, like I had to talk with God about her, just like asking him to lead her and guide her, and whatever His will is. Bless the people around her, so that some things that she had been going through, and she got some good news at the end of her work day. And she called. She's like, "What did you say?" Because she always say, I know God listened to you. Of course, He listened to all of us, but she know I burn God's ears up about whatever I need to. And it just makes me feel good when I see Him producing in people's lives that I love, and people producing in people's lives in general. But yeah, I'm feeling great.
Awesome.
Finances, I'm a 9. Feel great, feel blessed. Yeah, just I feel great. Just ask God to continue to help us grow. My husband's been cursing me out about not spending unnecessary money, and I've been asking God for discipline when it comes to unnecessary shopping and stuff. And I even feel His hands in that too. I'm a work in progress. I don't really have any vices, and shopping is my one. And I feel like I don't do no drugs, I don't do no drinking, I don't do no philandering in the world. I don't do no gambling. I just got shopping. I don't eat crazy. I ain't sneaking downstairs eating Snickers in the middle of the night. I just got shopping.
Mm-hmm.
That's all a girl got. That's all I got.
You ain't lying. You ain't told no lie. It's just sometimes I need you to fall back a bit. That's all. You ain't told no lie. She ain't lying about having no other vices. That is her one vice. But, sometimes I just need you to fall back a bit.
Yeah.
It's always promising on the other end, but...
Work is a 10. Work is amazing. Just got a lot going on, but good things. I am planting seeds and seeing them grow, moving the needle on things, even though we heard that may not be politically correct in the workplace anymore by humbug.
Be more effective.
But I'm moving the needle. I'm being more effective. I can say that about myself.
You're not offended.
I'm not offended by it. But work is great. Work is really good. And physically I feel great. I'm starting now. I was looking at myself in the mirror today, right? And I'm like, this is that time where the black girls have the struggle when it comes to working out, and we have to make a decision because, believe it or not, like I just got my hair done like a week ago. And it was great. Shout out to Strands of C, my sister. She's amazing. This isn't a paid ad. She is phenomenal.
You owe me at least like $10 for that. So, Cash App, $10, $20 or something.
And she is amazing. I always love, just the other day she told me, she's like, yeah, I did such and such hair. She says she went to high school with you. So many of y'all, and I don't know if y'all watch this, but I'm going to just say y'all, I'm putting it in the universe that y'all watch this. So many of y'all have gone to her, and it ain't even necessarily through me directly. It's not like y'all are like contact me and say, y'all see I post her and she be like, oh yeah, I did such and such hair. She said she went to high school with you, or y'all used to work together 20 years ago. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So that's cool. But yeah, she did my hair. Anyway, working out, I'm starting to like get to that, okay, my roots. It just, it ain't holding up, but I'm gonna stick it out though. I'm gonna work with it. I'm not going to be like, I don't want to get braids right now. It just is what it is. I'm not gonna let my hair get in the way of me working out because working out has been really, really good. I've been feeling great. I feel amazing. We have some other goals in place for this month. Just really trying to, again, move the needle.
Be more effective.
And our health, I don't even want to say in our weight loss, but just in our healthy journey. Sometimes I'm sure y'all know, ladies,
it's a journey.
We hit a plateau and it's like, you got to kind of break through that. And I'm determined. I'm not going to let it get me frustrated. I'm just determined. I know I'm doing the right thing. So, it'll happen. And I feel amazing.
Awesome.
How are you?
I feel good.
No, this is Men's Mental Health Month.
Shout out to all the men out there.
Shout out to you. And I really want to know, how are you?
I'm good. Mentally, I feel good. I feel like a 9. I feel good. There's always room for improvement, but I'm not struggling with anything at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm good. Life is good. I got no complaints. And if I do, I take them to God, and just like that, He fixes them. So mentally, I'm a 9. Finances, I would say I'm a 9. Yeah, finances is a 9. I'm just gonna leave that. Let that lay there like a bad pierogi on the plate. Work is,
that might be offensive to
what?
Polish people that eat pierogies.
That's who eat pierogies?
I think so.
I thought it was Irish people because potato was in it.
All right, skip it. Go back.
That's offensive too to say. Is it? Because they like potatoes, right?
They
Irish
do.
people?
They like potatoes.
Work is, I digress. Work is a 10 because I'm helping somebody and I don't have to think that much about emails and phone calls and manpower and all those kind of things. So work's a 10.
That's awesome.
I don't like the drive. I don't like the heat. But it's a 10. I ain't
But it's not
complaining.
stretching your bandwidth.
No, it's not stretching my bandwidth. Physically, I feel like a fucking 10. I feel great. I feel awesome. If I had just, I don't even want to go there, but I feel great. I feel awesome. 10 on the physical.
That's good. And I know we're going to get into whys and woes, but because we did mention Men's Health Month, I want to ask, do you have any self-care activities that you participate in?
Self-care activities?
Like, for me, I like to have a solo lunch or brunch date to kind of like decompress and have that me time. Of course, I like the spa. That's kind of like cliche. But what is your like go-to self-care recharge for you?
And this might sound like really redundant and weird, but I really like when I come from the gym and I get in the shower and go downstairs by myself when you're up here and I get to smoke a joint.
Just that you time.
Yeah, that like hour and a half before you come downstairs is like, it's a recharge.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's daily then. So that's good then.
Yeah.
You get like a daily recharge.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like a daily, yeah, because out of the shower, feeling fresh, sit downstairs, roll a joint, not starving.
I'm not bothering you.
Yeah, we're not bothering each other. I'm not like Tasha. You're not like, JJJ, and it's just chill. So
Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
I'm come downstairs and we engage. That is to myself, whether I'm paying attention to TV or not. I could be dozing.
Mm-hmm. But it's just you're relaxed in that moment. That's good. I'm happy you have that. What's your wows and woes?
My wow. this week is our house is back to normal. There's no kids here, so we're walking around naked and shit like that, and having sex with the door open and things like, or having, you know, all kinds of sex with the doors open. So yeah, that's a good thing. The wow is that I miss them a little bit.
The woe
is that I miss them a little bit. They used to come downstairs, Mackenzie and Mace, like every 15 minutes, just to see her, but they had to walk past me, so they would always ask me like, "Are you all right?" And it was like, you know, if I wasn't all right, like Mackenzie would ask me, "Do you want a water?" So like that was just cool that they was thinking about me. That's what it is. It's not that they was asking me, "Am I okay?" It's just the fact that I popped in their head and they was like, "Let me go ask Uncle Mar, is he okay?" Not thinking we just did 10 minutes ago. So that's cool, and I kind of missed that.
It's funny because my sister Mason does that at home, and my sister said sometimes she'll like preemptively say like, "Yes, I'm okay," and for the next 2 times that you ask me, I'll be okay then too. Like, just, you know, already check
that
those
could be
boxes.
a half hour. So in 45 minutes, I'll be back.
Yeah. Like, all right, I know I won't go down now and I won't go the next time, but let me go check on it then. Like, and it's one of them things where if you allow it to, if, you know, it can be a little irritating, but when you think about the nature of what he's doing, it's like nah, like just receive it.
He's learning how to care.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Just
it's learning how to care.
Yeah.
And how they give it out is how they give it out. It is annoying, but it's like, it's cool at the same time. It's not annoying to the point where it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, I'm okay. It's just like, yeah, man, I'm good, man. How about you? You good? Like, I know what you're coming downstairs for.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and it's good, and it makes me say, "Are you okay?"
Yeah,
like
that's what I was saying. It's like, yeah, I'm good. How about you?
Yeah.
So I kind of was missing that.
Yeah, my wow is just having, you know, another great week. I was really, really, really sad when they left. Dropped them off at the airport and cried 90% of the way home. Got myself together, got to the house. My baby opens the door and I just fall in his arms and cry some more. And I'm just grateful that he was like he knew, you know, he was prepared. Like, I was coming home and he was prepared to console me.
My plan was to wake up and go with you. And then I slept on that. And I was like, I'm going to wake up, go with her just to make sure she okay. I know she got a lot going on with the kids. I know she's sad. Then I was like, she got to get Erica. Like,
yeah, because I had to pick my sister up.
Yeah. I was like, nah, I can't go.
Yeah, so, so, I mean, I'm just grateful that I had my baby here to console me. Saturday, we had a great day together after they left. And I know his intent was just to keep my spirits up, which it did. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you just being there for me. We had, you know, a great time together. It definitely is different. Like,
I could tell it was bumming for you.
Yeah, like the house being empty, like just us, quiet.
We had 9 days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not like 3 days. You get used to
even being in my car was like looking at him like, ain't no, my eyes getting watery now. It was like, ain't nobody in the back seat no more. Like, Jesus Christ, like, what did I do? Oh. So, you know, but even though I'm saying this like in a sad way, the wow was like, I'm happy that I didn't get stuck in that sadness. And, you know, my babies have been calling me probably every hour on the hour since then, but I appreciate it. I love them. I mean, we've always talked, you know, frequently anyway. And I really think this bonding time was good for us. Like, before I would see them, you know, probably at least once a week, maybe sometimes twice a week. You know, we would have our random dates. We would go for taco night, or, you know, I would just pick them up to go get ice cream or something. So going from seeing each other 4 to 6 times a month to now seeing each other once every 6 months in person is a big adjustment. So I think, you know, it was some bonding time for us as well as, you know, healing for me in seeing them. So I'm just happy that to be in a good place. My woe is this is just, you know, a shout out and a prayer to a couple people, and I'm not going to say any names that I love, and they may not watch, but a lot of people that I'm aware of have been coming up, like family members have been like coming up with illnesses. Like someone who I know and care about, their mom had a stroke. Someone else who I love dearly, they have a young son who had a seizure, like who it isn't sick, never had any kind of medical things before, and like this just happened. And it's just one of them things where you realize thank God in both cases they're okay, still seeing doctors and stuff, but you just realize it's a reminder of the fragility of life. And it's just one of them things where you like, whoo, like you're in the midst of having fun and enjoying life and doing things, and that's just like a pause. And it can happen to any of us at any moment. We know. Like, we know. Firsthand, we know. So, just prayers for anybody who's going through, an illness, whether it's themselves or a direct family member. I'm praying for all of you.
It's like when you're young, you don't even realize every day you wake up, you're dodging a bullet. And then you get to a certain age and it's like, fuck if I don't appreciate that. Like, or something traumatic happens to you and you're like, fuck if I don't appreciate that. Like, you just wake up and just take that shit for granted. Like, oh, I'm young and I got all these years to live. And it's anybody at any given day.
Yeah.
Must be like 1 million people that die every day in the world of 300 million. And that's crazy to think, like 1 million people a day. But
and you dodge that bullet.
Yeah, you dodge that bullet and you're not on the list. And it's like 2 million people born. So it's like, it balances out, but damn. Like, that's crazy.
And it's one of them things, like, if you get caught up in it, you will make yourself sick thinking about, is it going to be me? Or you get a headache, you're like, oh my God, that's how you become a hypochondriac. But
WebMD, that phase of WebMD.
Yeah, but it's scary, and I understand, because whether you think about it or don't think about it, it can happen. Mm-hmm. But the more you think about it, you can bring it on with the stress. I mean, it's
and the juju, just the thought in your head all the time. Like, it's hard to say once you get rolling down that hill, like not to think like that. But you don't have to. You don't have to get stuck there.
Yeah,
you don't have to get stuck there.
Just to kind of change directions a little bit, I'm kind of smiling because you just said juju, right? And juju, for those who may not know, or if you haven't heard it before, we use it as a term of like bad energy, right?
Aura, yeah.
Yeah, aura, like, let that juju out of here. Like if you are talking about death, like we were talking about, getting in an accident or something while you're driving, like just hypothesizing, and you're like, oh, let that juju out of here. Like you want to get
saying your words have power.
Exactly. But like you just said, words have power, words matter. There are some people who could be offended by that, saying juju. Like, we're in this day and age now where so much of what we say or have been accustomed to saying for so long is now kind of like on a list of frowned upon. You can't even address a person as, or they say you're not even supposed to address a person by the pronouns that we were taught to recognize, him, her, he, she, because that might not be the pronoun that they attach themselves to. And just think about this.
Okay, go ahead.
Just think about this growing up, right? As a kid, we were taught, you see a man, you say, that's like, a kid may mislabel a man and say her or a woman, and you will correct them, right? Mm-hmm. So now, what are they teaching kids? Like, well, they said, mommy, that did he have blah 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 blah? Like, did he open the door and say, no, son, don't call him a he. Ask him, does he want to be called he or she? Like, can you imagine how confusing that is? Or son, don't label that person as a him. Ask that person if they are a him or a her. Like, what we're going to get to in society?
You would have to do that, but I think they just saying, like, just use they. So if you saying, like, if that man is doing something, you say,
but what if he don't want to be called a man?
That mommy, did they do that, or did they take that, or did they just fall? Like, so you're saying, like, you're not saying he or she. I think it's foolish. I think it has gone way too far. Like, I'm offended because for a small group of the population, you're changing it for the whole population. And I am a he, and I want to be called a he. So what are you caring about the feelings of people who are not identifying as he, she, and they want to be called they, but I identify as he. So why do I got to be called something different or not be called what I am at all? But that's what I identify as.
Well, it's not
why are we not doing what's better for the masses, not just a small population of people? Not saying that if they want to call themselves they, them, and all that kind of stuff, that can be that's their vernacular in their community. But I don't have to be privy to that.
Well, so they're not trying to change what you're identified as, but I do agree.
But you're saying if you grow up, you don't call people he, she, or them at all. So you would just start using the pronouns, right?
Right. Well, what I'm saying is it feels like that's where the future is headed to. Like, I can just imagine in schools 10 years from now, when you're in, I guess, preschool or kindergarten, when they start teaching pronouns, the pronouns aren't going to be, the lessons are going to be structured differently. They're not going to say he and have a picture of a man and she and have a picture of a woman. It's going to be, he is whoever identifies as he, because you could have somebody with long hair, you could have somebody that looks like me but wants to be referred to as a he, and having to teach a child that is confusing. It's going to be confusing. And my thing is this:
asking, is that inappropriate?
No, that's what they say. You're supposed to say, "What are your pronouns?"
Oh, okay.
That's what they want you to do.
That could be used as offensive because you see people, grown people in emails, and they put stuff. So is it like you got to wait for somebody to tell you what they identify as, or can you just say, "Hey, ma'am, I was about to call you a he"?
Don't say ma'am. That's the thing.
Or hey, I was about to call you he. What you identify as?
The way that I think is best is just to use people's names. Hey Sheila, hey Jim, right. Hey Larry, hey Mary, instead of, or you say, Mary said, can you come? Or what did Mary say? Mary said, instead of what did Mary say? She said.
What if it's John in September and Joan in January?
Yeah, then that's when it gets all different. But my thing is this, I understand this is for people who identify as something other than their gender assigned at birth, as they call it, or the gender that is specific to the genitalia that they have. And it's for their comfortability. But what about our comfortability? It makes me uncomfortable having to think about something that we never had to think about. We just said it. It's very weird. But outside of that, right, there are other things that now it's getting to a place that it's supposed to not be politically correct.
What was the example that you told me earlier?
So if someone tells you a wild story, you can't say, wow, that was crazy. Because crazy can be offensive to someone that may be battling mental health issues. So you using the term crazy, it's they don't want you to use that. Or if someone says, you know what, let's get this report done ahead of time so that if they push up the deadline, we're not blindsided. Ho, you can't say blindsided because now blind people. Yeah. Because now blind people may feel like, you using that term is, I don't know, derogatory, I guess. I don't know. I can't speak to it. So I don't know how they would feel in you saying that. Blindsided just means I didn't know that something was coming my way.
I would want to know who is responsible for saying this is no good no more. Who is it? Is it a group of scholars? Is it a group of everyday people? Is it a group?
Or did they poll people?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Who says that these phrases can't be said no more? Who's in charge of that?
It may be.
Who can put that out in the world on Google to say these are phrases you can't say no more?
Maybe it's like back in the day when they called us colored, and then they decided, that's offensive. We shouldn't call colored people.
Is it offensive?
Yeah.
It's offensive because they said it's offensive. Is it offensive, though, when you think about it? Is it offensive? Black and brown people being called colored?
I think it's offensive because of the connotation that has been placed upon it now. Because people say,
you have hindsight. I'm trying to say,
right.
Take yourself
so
away
that's what
from
I'm saying. I can't say that, the colored people. I mean, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP still uses it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, again, you're right. In hindsight, it's offensive because we now know that it was used in a derogatory way. But the wording of it really isn't.
Right, because they changed it to
people of
color, and that's stupid. Why can't you say colored people, but you can say it in reverse? That don't make no fucking sense.
People of color, not color, and maybe this is akin to the same ideology of like children with autism is the proper way to speak about children with autism instead of saying autistic children. I didn't write the rules, but that is something else that.
Hold on, say it again.
Children with autism.
Children with autism instead of saying
autistic children.
Does that fit in any sentence? Where autistic children is, you can just say children of.
Yeah. So I work at a school for children with autism. I don't, but I'm saying instead of I work at a school for autistic children. Because they don't want autism to identify the children. They want them to be identified as children, and they just have autism instead of them being autistic children. So maybe it's the same ideology where they don't want us to be identified by our color as colored people. We are just people of color. It sounds like tomato,
apples,
but if people are offended by it, especially I would never want to offend the parent of a child with autism by just disregarding their feelings if they do feel that saying autistic children is offensive. So I'm not dismissing it, but I'm just saying it sounds like it's in that same line of thinking. You can
do that with anything, right? Like you can, with like a child with diabetes, you can say the Juvenile Diabetes Association for Children. Like you can say,
instead of the diabetic children with diabetes. Yeah, but again, maybe I don't know. It's maybe because that isn't
kids with cancer. You don't want to say that.
Well, yeah. Well, that sounds better. You wouldn't say the cancer kids. So that does make sense.
That comes off a little lashy.
Exactly.
That landed on me. Like
that would sound so cruel. So I guess in that same thinking, autistic kids, you wouldn't want to just
now it makes sense. Yes. Since you said that one thing, like that's the one that they probably base that off of, because you would never say cancer that. Kids.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. That. Children with cancer, children with autism. So in that same line of thinking, we just have to be very careful. It really is a new day. I mean, it makes you think about when. And I don't know when this happened, but like mentally challenged people. I don't want to say just children, but people who are mentally challenged. When back in the day they used the R word. I don't want to say that, but that's what So or the same with describing people from Asia, Asian people. They used to be called Oriental people, and that was deemed offensive. So. It's like we're evolving. The ball is getting bigger and bigger, like that rubber band ball. They're putting more rubber bands around it about things that we can't say. It makes speaking like you have to think. Nobody ever wants to be offensive. So I get how when we're talking about illnesses and things like that. But when you're just talking about everyday language, to say like you can't say blindsided,
or you can't say crazy.
It's like
that's the response of 10 million times out of 10 million times when somebody tell you a story that's crazy. You say, man, that's crazy.
Can you imagine being somewhere and you say like, man, that was crazy, and somebody say, Walter, I just want to let you know, earlier today when Tom was telling you the story and you said, man, that was crazy. I was really offended by that because I suffer from whatever mental health illness, and you saying crazy is really offensive to me.
No, I don't see that. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
I would be mind blown.
I don't even want to get into it. My example was if you have a conference room with 10 people in it and one person is in a wheelchair and you say, hey, let's go to lunch and after this we'll circle back. Can that person be offended? Or if they were offended, how would you receive that?
The same like you said, I would apologize. Because in my mind, there's no correlation between circling back and a wheelchair. Like,
so it's been jokes said that all people do in wheelchairs is circles. So that's like that's a thing.
Wow. Yeah, I would feel bad that I did offend somebody, because in no way would I have thought that.
But you didn't wake up this morning and think that was going to happen.
and anybody saying circle back, like, I told you, I've said spin the block in a professional setting. Now that I would be like, ooh, somebody in the wheelchair probably shouldn't have said that. But circle back, I would be floored. I would feel so bad. Like, oh my, I would be scared to talk. Like, what else am I going to say?
What if you're about to have a meeting with another company and it's a person in there with a wheelchair? You say, all right, when they come in here, y'all, we're going to stand tall.
Yeah, we're going to stand.
And it just came out.
Or you just say we're going to stand on business.
No, you just say we're going to stand tall. And all of a sudden you make eye contact with the person in the wheelchair.
We'll see.
Like you...
Sorry. That, yeah.
Oh my God.
Words matter. We just really have to be careful. Speaking of words, recently, Angel Reese made a statement and was speaking about how, and I know you're a little shocked that I'm talking about the WNBA.
Because, well, you should be. You're a woman.
I don't care about basketball, but I did care about this topic because it was more of a people topic.
No, it's a basketball topic.
And she talked about how, Caitlin Clark was getting so much attention as if, she bought this, like, new these new views to WNBA. But she was saying, like, she was part of this like catalyst behind right now what's going on with more attention on the WNBA. And I saw an interview with Jemele Hill where she kind of talked about it, and she made some great points, I thought. One of them, she was speaking to the fact that Angel Reese is, because of the position that she plays, she probably doesn't get as much. She's a post player. She probably doesn't get as much. And she likened her to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was one of the greats, but he didn't get as much attention as some of those other players because of the position. She wasn't saying like her skills.
She could have used any other name, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that's a stretch. But go ahead.
Okay, but she was saying because of the position, they may not get as many accolades for their contributions to the sport or to a game as other players might. And she also acknowledged the fact that it's a race thing. So my question to you, a race thing being, she said Caitlin Clark, she represents the wholesome America. She's from Iowa, which is a huge farming state. She's heterosexual. She's a Christian. She's white. So in America, that's like, that's like checking all the boxes for the white people, right? Like the White is Right campaign. What, in your opinion, or your facts that basketball is majority Black. But how much does race play into it when it comes to the fouls that you see called, the accolades, the attention? Because she also said that hip check that Caitlin Clark got, because it was a Black girl or a woman of color, because she was pretty light skinned. I didn't know she was Black. If that was Angel Reese doing that to Cardoza or just two Black women, it wouldn't have been as much attention. But because it was a Black woman doing it to Caitlin Clark, a white woman, it garnered everybody talking about it.
I totally disagree with this take that Jemele has, because I don't think race has anything to do with this. This is what you would call a hazing of sort for rookies. All rookies go through this. They pay for dinners. They get beat up during the season. They carry bags. They ride in the back of the bus. Like, this happens to all rookies on every team at that level. So me personally, I don't think this has anything to do with race. I think people tie race onto anything. It's not her fault where she was born at in Iowa. It's not that her fault that she's white. It's not her fault that she's not gay. It's not her fault that she's Christian. Like, all those things come about in her life to make her who she is. And I don't think that she should be punished and saying like, okay, now let's turn this around on race. She never speaks about race. Okay, she's a white girl from Iowa who happens to be like, this all stems from the team of Iowa playing LSU, which that's the team that Angel Reese was on. Now, they both were a part of history. They both played dominant basketball against each other, which made people start looking at the sport. You had Angel Reese over here and Caitlin Clark over here. Caitlin Clark was compared to Steph Curry because she shoots a lot of 3-pointers. She has a flashy game. I agree with Jemele with Angel Reese because she is a post player and she doesn't get the shine that a Steph Curry would get over a Joel Embiid. So if you got Joel Embiid, like everybody knows him, but he's not going to get the endorsements and commercials and sneakers that Steph Curry's going to get because he's more flashy. And Caitlin Clark is a great basketball player. So is Angel Reese. And they just, that's history. They just happen to be playing each other because they led their teams against each other. That's got nothing to do with race. And when people tie, okay, it's because she's black, it's because she's white, that's just who they are. Like that, it's not Angel Reese's fault that she's black. It ain't Caitlin, it's not her fault that she's white. And that hip check was a flagrant foul. The game wasn't about basketball. The girl was mad at her, and she ran up and bumped her on the hip and knocked her down. That happened to Michael Jordan. When you watch The Last Dance, Detroit beat his ass for 3 straight years. So it happens in basketball.
But do you think
level.
It would have, like she said, and I don't know, I'm asking, if it was two
I think
black
it would have
players,
been on ESPN that this girl took a cheap shot, but I think that's as far as it would have went.
You don't think it, so? Now, do you think it was a big story because it was Caitlin Clark or because it was a black woman and a white woman?
I think it was a big story because
Angel
it's Caitlin
Reese.
Clark. I think it's a big story because she's the rookie. She's the one that put the eyes on the sport. So that's not her fault. She's good at basketball and just happens to be white. So everybody is looking at this sport because of me. Now I get into the championship game with this other girl because at that level, if you're in the championship, the other team is just as good. Angel Reese is just as good. So that's where it comes from. But it's got nothing to do with black or white at all. Like people just attach that to it because they're black and they're white. Now, to answer your question, if two black girls, if a black girl would have hit Angel Reese and knocked her down, it would have been a story because it's Angel Reese. Okay. She has a name too.
That makes
so
sense.
It's got nothing to do with black or white. And they're both rookies. This stuff happens to rookies all the time. And at this level, you're playing against the best women in the world. And in the NBA, you're playing against the best men in the world. These things happen at that level of competition.
Okay.
So for me, it's just basketball. It's not black or white. Caitlin Clark could be a black girl, and the same thing would be happening to her. She would be getting bumped around. They're going to beat her up this year. That's just if she got a good team around her, they would have told her that. Listen, you playing against girls from all around the world, and you got a light on you, you're white, and you're going to come in here and they're going to try to boss you around to see where you stand at, to see where you're at with this game thing. Like they're going to test you. This is the level.
She also likened her to Larry Bird, saying in a sense, a white person in the predominantly black sport and being that good, they are going to get that attention.
Yeah, they're going to get that attention.
So it's like the great white hope.
Yeah, people are automatically black, white, black, white, black, white, and it's like that has nothing to do with it. It's like, again, it's not her fault she was born white. It's not Angel Reese's fault she was born black, but it is what it is, and they're both great, awesome fucking basketball players, and that's why people are watching, because of the both of them. That's just plain and simple. That's why people are watching. It's like the gap in in women's basketball has went from Sheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie to now. Everything in between that. When the fuck did you hear about it? Yeah, I mean, you got your Candace Parker, your Sue Birds, and all them Diana Taurasi's in there, but I'm from the legends of the sport. Now they're calling these two, like these two are going to take it to another level. Like it's a huge gap there, and now people are watching it and there's eyes on it. It's because of these two women, plain and simple. It's not just because of Caitlin, and it ain't just because of Angel. And I think that should be said more. I think Angel Reese is right in saying she didn't get here by herself, and everybody isn't looking at the sport just because of her, because she is a part of that. So I don't think she's wrong in that statement. But she just got suspended, thrown out of the game the night before last. Got 2 texts because she mouthed off at a ref and threw her out the game. And Lonzo Ball from the NBA saw that and said he'd pay her a fine, and they rescinded the fucking foul.
Angel Reese? Or
he said he would pay her a fine. He said the call was bullshit. I'll pay your fine, and he tweeted that. the WNBA saw that and rescinded the foul.
Wow.
Now they can't do nothing about it, but they're not going to fine her.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But that was big. That was big of him, especially considering we already know about the salary gaps. I really do want to go to a game. And I say I don't care about basketball. I'm not a sports fan, but I am. This whole dynamic has piqued my interest. Like, because I do enjoy watching basketball with you when we watch it. I'm not like checking for it, looking for the schedule, but in person I really would like to see. We just would have to travel because unfortunately, but we could either travel to New York or
Liberty.
Who else does DC?
DC has a team,
and that's probably it. Like, we don't go no further than that. But I really would like to see a game, because I really want. Another thing, and last point I'll make, she said, was that women, the WNBA is more aggressive than the NBA.
Yes.
She was like, a lot of people don't know that,
no,
but like
real basketball people know that.
This is like
She's
the
a real
women get it
person.
in.
She's a real basketball person. I give her that. She knows the sport. And that's I'm glad that she said that, because a lot of people wouldn't think that. And I think you would like the sport. You say you don't care about basketball, but I think when you see,
I don't care about basketball, but I like a good game.
I know, but I'm saying I think you would look at it a different way if you saw women playing. I think you would just to see it. I think you would be like, oh, like this piques my interest a little bit. Like, I do care about like these women out here playing hard like this. Like she said, super physical and trying to score this basketball. Like, for the 3 hours that I'm there. Yeah. Not like I come back home and dive into it, but I care about it while I'm there.
All right, that's on our bucket list. We're gonna make our way to the game.
Yeah, I would love to go to a WNBA game.
All right. So speaking of race, right? Something a little more that we know is like, this is a racial issue, and it's pretty sad. There was a story about a girl who was graduating, walking across the stage, high school graduate. I think high school. They look like high school, and all of the administration. There was I'm assuming like a principal or something. But long story short, everybody was
about
white.
6 executives, 6 staff that were shaking hands and giving and one was handing out diplomas, the other was all the rest of them was.
The superintendent of the school, a black man, was on stage. And right before the girl, got her diploma and was going along to shake hands, the dad ran up and interceded, and you could hear him say, "That's my daughter right there," and he did not want his daughter to shake a black man's hand.
Yeah.
That hurt me. It's one of them things.
It hurt her.
I think she was more embarrassed because she know how her dad is.
Yeah, but you can see the disgust on her face.
Like, he ruined my moment.
Like, yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, not necessarily she didn't know, like, this was her first time seeing he's a racist. But like you said, she know him. But that shit was like, this is my graduation, bro. Like
look what you did. You caused the scene.
Yeah, like when he ran up there and grabbed the guy, she kind of looked like, that's
my
dad, and then she looked like she looking like, do I keep shaking hands? Like, and then nobody shook her hand, and she just thought like, this is my moment. Like, let me just walk off the stage. Like, here he go again.
And in this day and age, as a young, especially that generation, you gotta know this is about to be on. Somebody's recording. This is about to be on social media. Like, you gotta know, like, that's the ramifications of this, and here we go. And the embarrassment. And your moment's gonna live forever
with your dad fucking your moment up like that while you're like, that's what she went to school for 13 years for, is to walk across the stage. Yeah. That's the big prize you get when you do 13 years of school. You get the walk. Kids like, they paying for all kind of shit, going to night school in 12th grade. They getting all their money together, all this shit in line to walk, and then you fuck up the walk.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, and it was one of those moments that just remind you of, no matter how far we come, there is I'm not going to even say a subset. There is still a large population of people that just don't like us simply for the color of our skin. It's one thing if you don't like my personality, we had beef, something happened, but just because of the color of skin,
and you would fuck up your daughter's graduation from high school because of that feeling. That bruise so deep in you that you would be like, fuck this. I can't stand to watch her shake a black dude's hand other than let me X that out and watch my daughter walk across stage and grab her diploma and get this moment on camera that she waited 13 years for.
What
like,
you gotta
that's not
think.
a thought in your head. Your thought is, let me jump up here and interrupt. Like, she's going to keep going and be okay with this and walk off stage and everybody going to clap.
It's so funny because, the comments, on social media always throw you a laugh. Somebody said, may the universe grant him plenty of half-black grandbabies. And it was like, you never know, like, this girl gonna go to college, who she's going to meet. Hopefully she doesn't embody the views of her dad. It just was like a sad moment. It was one of them things, like, sometimes, when black people act a fool, and for me, like, I feel like secondhand embarrassment, like, why they gotta be black doing this? Or like, you see a story, like these chicks that keep stealing from Lululemon, and be like, come on. If I wanted to buy something from Lululemon, I don't want to go in that store because I feel like they're going to be looking at me like, this is a black lady coming in here. But in this case, it wasn't secondhand embarrassment. It was like secondhand hurt. My feelings was hurt. Like, damn, like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Like, is that where we are, really?
Yeah, I think that's where we are. You talk about embarrassment, just to segue into what we're talking about next, and being embarrassed. Do you think, what's your opinion on kids being accountable publicly? Like, if your mom goes up to the school, pops you upside your head just because you was acting up in school, or you get chastised in public, or have to just do something publicly for what you did privately. Or are you of the old school where you act up in public, you get chastised in public?
So I'm torn, right? So recently I seen two different scenarios about this. And one of them I was in favor of. The other one made me cringe, right? So one situation, his mom was in the classroom. Her daughter had smacked another girl. And so she was like, she made her daughter stand there. The girl was standing in front of the class, apologizing. The girl kept put your hands down. And I thought the mom handled it very well. She made her apologize. She made her ask the girl, did she accept her apology? Because in this case, she had hit the girl. She's like, you don't do that to nobody. I wouldn't want nobody smacking you. And then she told the kids, like, I ain't saying she can't hit y'all back if y'all hit her first. Like, let's clear that up. But I thought it was handled very well. And I thought I was in favor of that. Because, yes, holding your child accountable and letting them know, like, nah, you don't do this. You don't disrespect somebody like that, slapping somebody in the face. And the way it sounded like it was almost like she did it for no reason. I wasn't mad at that. Now, in another situation I saw, this mom made her daughter go on live and tell people that she had got in trouble because not only was she not supposed to be on like social media, she wasn't supposed to have a phone at all. And her mom had found out, so she was saying, her mom was like, tell her what you did. She's like, I was sending naked videos, and she's like, to who? And made her say the name. And that was so cringy to me because, yeah, like, check your daughter, fix what she's doing, but to be publicizing to the world that she's doing these lewd, illicit, sexual behaviors, I didn't think that was cool at all. It's one of them things where it's like slapping somebody or physical violence is one thing, but exposing the fact that your child exposed herself, she's a kid, and the backlash and the repercussions of that can be bigger. Like, she can go through her life being called, and don't matter what people call you and things like that, but it's just what she was doing I didn't feel like needed to be publicized or made public like that. Because again, she was on a live talking to her. It could have been 10 people on the live, but now somebody recorded it, and now the video is now broadcast to however many people. So it didn't just stay in that circle. This is now something that millions of people can see, and see this little girl face, knowing she was talking about sex, she was talking about blowjobs, she was sending naked videos and pictures. Nobody, the world, I'm not going to say nobody, the world shouldn't know that she looked like she might have been 13, 14-year-old daughter was doing this.
I disagree with what you're saying. Let me land the plane. I disagree with what you're saying, how you're picking and choosing. I don't think either one should be handled publicly at all. It's your child. And you got to think of what that does to your child. Your child got to come to school the next day and grow up with these kids. That shit can be traumatizing. It could change their whole trajectory on how they think about themselves and how they feel around their friends. So that shit at itself, yeah, your kid did something wrong. You can handle that in a way where you do that same thing privately. You could ask the mom, can I come to your house, see that little girl, and do the same thing in front of her, make her apologize, make her do all that shit, and not do it publicly. And she'll keep her self-esteem, her dignity, and be able to go to school and be around her friends the next day. Her and that girl will know what happened back at home. Your mom brought you to my house and made you say sorry. Cool. And the girl who's giving out, talking about blowjobs, and like, obviously that shit shouldn't be broadcast across the world, but neither one of them to me. And I disagree with how you say one can be, okay, that's public and that can be online. And this little girl can be humiliated. Like, obviously, I saw that video. She was putting her hands up to her face because obviously that shit is like, you could imagine how that feels. You got to go in front of the goddamn class and apologize like this. And then you got to come to school the next day, the rest of the year. Like, that shit can be a weight on a kid who's 10, 11 years old. So that's all I'm saying. And obviously, I agree with you on, you don't air out that kind of shit because it's the internet. You can't be saying your daughter was talking about blowjobs and naked pictures and all that kind of shit. You get the internet detectives, they get the digging and shit. Like, nah, you don't want to. Yeah, like that kind of shit I agree with. I just don't agree with. I think both of them should be.
But see, my thing is, you acted up in public. You disrespected this girl in public. You embarrassed her. You slapped her in front of the class. So now you apologize in front of the class.
Though, baby. You gotta take yourself out of that as a parent and think, how would I feel as a kid?
Yeah, but how did the girl feel? She got slapped in front of everybody. How
would you feel?
I was going to say,
if that shit happened to you in the 3rd grade and you got to go to school with these kids up until 6.
When I was in the 4th grade, my mom showed up to class because I was being disrespectful to the teacher. I think I told y'all this story before. No, it wasn't that different. My mom showed up. She stood in front of... You're talking
about being disrespectful to an adult.
But what I'm saying is my mom showed up to the class. She checked me in front of the class. She popped me in my head with the rolled up newspaper in front of the class. Yeah, I was embarrassed for that day. Nobody ever mentioned it. Kids rebound. Like, I mean, they'll talk about it for a day or two and it'll be over with. Like, I think sometimes we as adults, we stress more about things and we forget that, kids are more adaptable. Like they're
resilient. I do agree with you on that part. I just think sometimes that shit can be traumatizing. It won't, probably not every time, but sometimes that shit can be traumatizing to be in front of your classmates and having to say, I'm sorry, you're crying, you're fucking scared, your mom's there, you think she's gonna hit you, like your dad there, you think he's gonna hit you, like you just gotta give this fucking apology. She
did say, my mom put her hands on me because I put my hands on you. We can agree to disagree. I do think there's a limit. Now, I don't think you should be pulling your kids' pants down, whooping their ass in front of people. There's a limit to things, but I felt the mom handled that appropriately. So, you know.
I mean, you had time to think about what you could have did from at the house, getting in the car, driving up to the school. Now, it's different when you're like out in a store and your kid throws a fucking tantrum and it's like this little, like, I think right there you have to check your kid and be like, yo, calm the fuck down and, get yourself right. Because you can't be acting up in a store like this.
You saw me in Home Depot, like, going through it with kids. So,
It's just like in certain situations, but you should never run to the internet for anything related like that.
But again, the mom didn't run to the internet.
She put it on the internet.
I don't think the mom wasn't recording.
She must have had somebody who was recording. A kid?
It looked like it was somebody in the classroom. Because remember, the mom and the daughter was... So I think
probably was a kid.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of them things. I don't think the mom put it on it. No, the one where she was talking about the set. Yeah, she made her go on live and do that. And that was so... I actually didn't even watch all of it because it was like, I can't believe she's doing this. Like, that was very cringy to me.
Yeah, that sounds cringy. It's to be like my daughter was talking about blowjobs. And how old was the girl?
She looked about, I would say, no older than 14. Yeah. If that.
You're out of your fucking
she
mind.
She doesn't look older than our niece, our 16-year-old niece.
Yeah, you're out of your mind.
And our 16-year-old niece looks young. So, yeah, she might have been, I'm thinking she was 13, 14.
And that as a parent, you're trying to embarrass her out of her behavior. And that's not going to work. It's going to be more detriment than anything.
And she was on live. She's saying stuff. She made her say the boy's name that she was sending us. It just was.
And I get the thinking, okay, you on this fucking phone on this app and you sending all these pictures and shit. Get on this same phone and app and tell why you getting in trouble.
And
tell
then she
why
says,
you got your ass beat.
You wasn't even supposed to have your hands on the phone. Why? Tell them why. Because she had did this prior and got her phone privileges taken. And it's like, come on, Mom. This is a bigger issue that you need to be addressing.
Yeah, and not in this manner.
Yeah.
3 grams. Trina McGee, girl from Boy Meets World, 54 years old, finds herself pregnant.
You know,
I don't like this at all. Because at 54, at 10 years old, you are 64. The baby's 10 and you're 60 fucking 4. How is a 64-year-old going to keep up with a 10-year-old?
You know, first of all, when I seen this story, I was
How
like...
is a 58-year-old going to keep up with a 4-year-old?
I was like, oh, wow. Because I never knew her name. I recognized her face immediately. And this is like going in a little different direction.
Hold on, babe. Let's let this... How is a 58-year-old going to dance with a 4-year-old?
Well, she has 3 other kids. This isn't her
first.
Yeah, this is what all the siblings is for. Hell yeah. Go in there and get your brother. Yeah. But you know what? It's when I seen her comment, like her post, she was saying, you know, she's going to log off of social media for a while. And it made me sad, but I understand. Because it's like, people know social media can be cruel. I'm going through this sensitive time in my life. I got to get off of this. And it was like, damn, that's the state of the world we're in. But I'm happy she did that because who wants to be...
She has the awareness to disconnect.
Yes, but yeah, 54, that made me think about some of my peri and pre and menopausal friends.
I don't like it at all. 54 is like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm 6 years from 60 and I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's all this like danger that can come with it. Like, man, like what am I going to do? You want me to go through labor as a 54, 55-year-old, push this baby out, and then come home with a crying infant and
at
think
60,
I'm supposed
you're
to...
going to kindergarten registration. And they're like, oh, you're bringing your grandma. Hell, at 60, you old enough to be a great-grandma.
And this is your
son or daughter. Oh, this is the grandbaby.
I mean, I hope like everything is healthy with her. I hope that she gets the baby that she wants. But me, Walt, personally,
the baby that she wants.
I don't like this. 54 years old. Like, I'm not trying to say people are old, but sometimes you're too old to have a baby. That's just my personal opinion.
They gonna get you.
That's just my personal opinion. I'm sorry. You ain't got to get me. I'm not saying this is for everybody. If you think you should have a baby at 54, then have a baby at 54. I just think you need to like it. And it's obviously she said she found herself pregnant. So what? It's by accident. Like,
it sounds like it was natural.
Yeah, and I didn't plan it. If you found yourself pregnant.
Well, what do they call it? Like a change of life baby.
That's definitely a change of life baby.
Yeah, change of life babies.
But come on, like you got to be 74 years old to even think about like the end of graduation and going to college or
that's
marriage
20
or something.
Years old. Yeah, 19,
like
20, yeah.
And you trying to tell them, yo, get married quick, like when you're 21, because I'm fucking 75 out here. Like, I'm trying to see this shit. Like, don't be getting married when you're 35. Like, come on, man.
That's like stuff you hear like DC Youngfly talk about. His dad was 60 when he was born.
Yeah.
It's like,
the funniest shit I ever heard is when they said he had a grandbrother.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. A grandbrother.
Yeah. some people be having siblings that's old enough to be their parents.
Talk about parents. Sean Kingston and his mom was arrested for scamming. What do you think about just like, isn't it wild to be doing crime with your parent?
What kind of scamming was they doing?
Bank scamming, fraudulent loans, not paying for rental cars, like getting phantoms and like getting like scamming luxury shit, scamming. And they were good at it. You know, they from Jamaica. They were great at it. And I'm just saying, they were great at it, but they bought it over here and was doing it all over in LA. And like this goes when you said the girls were robbing Lululemon. Like I seen this story on TikTok where the kids was smash and grab and fucking got locked up, and the driver was his mother. And it's that is wild to be doing crime with your fucking parent.
Yeah,
like that's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How can you say, like, as a family, as a unit, we're morally good? You're
not even thinking about morals. You're thinking it's the family business.
But like, mom is telling me to, okay, scam this bank for $50,000, scam this bank for $100,000, scam this, go ahead and buy Richard Mille, put $80,000 down when it costs $600,000 and don't pay the rent. Like,
but you think mom was leading it or he brought mom?
Well, her name was on a lot of the. I don't know.
I'm saying like.
Well, she's the oldest, so she
doesn't mean like he. I mean.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But the fact to be locked up with your mom doing, unless it's a situation where it's like, you know, some people was messing with us and we fought together, like to be locked up with your parent is crazy.
It's wild. Yeah. I think that's like.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's wild, not
shit.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say crazy. But that is wild shit to think that. Like my mom got $100,000 bill, I got $100,000 bill because we be doing this thing in the streets, like we killing them out here.
That's crazy. Talking about the streets and killing them, Dr. Fauci.
That was an awesome segue, babe. That was an awesome segue. Talking about the streets and killing them.
Dr. Fauci is catching heat because of his handling or mishandling mishandling of COVID.
That's bullshit. He admitted he made up COVID protocol.
Okay, my thing is this. In 2020, right? Nobody who was living had experienced a pandemic, a plague.
What is he? A fucking a doctor, right? Like he's...
Yeah, but you read and you learn about that. He's a doctor.
Infectious doctor, one of the doctor houses or something.
Yes, but you read and you learn about that. You don't expect it to like be
I never seen House outbreak. Make up some shit.
House was made up.
No, I'm talking about his... You know what I'm saying. He ain't never make some shit up. Like he went through the rigmarole and found what was wrong.
Right, because that's what they told him to do in the script.
But you didn't have to say... wear masks. You didn't have to say get 6 feet apart when you know all that shit. It's like we're going to scare people on Monday and then unscare them on Tuesday.
Well, I think, okay, just
try to make them feel safe or whatever.
In his defense, I think it was pressure, and he's not saying any names, but I think it was pressure from whomever, whether it was coming from the White House or wherever, of doing something, saying something, because people needed to feel good, or people needed to feel like...
people need to feel safe.
Exactly. They needed to feel like there was something that they could... Just imagine if they just told us...
March, look, April of that, we didn't know shit.
Just listen. Just imagine if they had told us it's an airborne disease. There's nothing you can do to stop from catching it. If you go outside and breathe, you may catch it. If you're next to a person in the market, you won't know if they have it, but you may catch it. If you go to, the movie theater, if they didn't close them, you sit next to a person, somebody coughs, you may catch it. So if they just told us, look, we don't know what to do, you just may catch it no matter what, people would have been in an uproar.
Uproar about what?
Because
what do you expect them to tell you? Like, okay, it's a disease here that we never saw before. What the fuck do you expect us to say to you? Like, what do you want us to lie? We don't know what it is.
Well, he did lie, but lied to try to make people feel safe. Wear masks, stay 6 feet apart. Those were preventive measures that were BS, but it made people feel a false sense of safety, which is wrong, but it worked for the time being.
His first idea was to go for 12 feet apart. Can you imagine restaurants that had 100 seats, now you're 6 feet apart, they got 40 seats. If we had to be 12 feet apart,
they would have had 10 people in a restaurant.
Probably less than that.
The supermarket lines were wrapped around with dots on the floor at 6 feet. So the supermarkets wouldn't have been able to close if they had put us 12 feet apart. The lines would have never ended.
And why didn't, like, a lot of people were saying it, a lot of celebrities were saying it, a lot of average people were saying it, like, how is this cloth, this mask that has holes in the side and holes up here going to stop a virus, like germs in the air that you can't fucking see?
Well, eventually they did come out to say, it isn't necessarily...
Then you gonna say he felt bad because kids was wearing masks.
It wasn't necessarily to stop the virus from coming in. It was to stop you if you had the virus from, right. So that was more of the preventive part of it. And it doesn't mean that it was going to stop it, but to kind of slow it down. So if you cough and you got 500 million molecules that go out, well, now if you got a mask on, maybe you only got 2 million.
But that's the thing. I never coughed in my mask. I had to cough, I lifted up and cough. I had to sneeze, I lifted it up and sneezed because I got to keep wearing this thing all day.
Well, some people did.
I never sneezed in the mask. I never coughed in the mask. I lift the bottom up and coughed.
Some people did, though. I'm just saying.
I might have coughed in my hand on my shoulder, but
guess what? Of all the things that he told us to do, and we did, and some people didn't do, you never had COVID. I had it twice and maybe 3 times. But
I think you had it 3 times.
Yeah, you never had it. So, I mean, again, what was he supposed to do? He didn't know either.
I don't think he was supposed to lie. If you was in that position, would you fucking lie, Tosh?
I think I would have given people small things like he did to make them feel safe. You know, really he was telling people to stay home, but he knew people weren't going to stay home. So then it was like, okay, if you go out.
Well, when you find out that they had the information to tell people, maybe take vitamins, get healthy, not be so sedentary, and they held that back and said, wear masks and stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah, but see, that's hard too. You're telling people to not be sedentary, get healthy, but also you can't go to the gym, stay away from people. So when you go into the park to walk and try to get healthy, you got to beware. Now everybody's going to be in the park and we're near each other. So it's like, or you're going to have all these people, like they showed these people during COVID. It was an old video. They were lined up on the street, but like in front of their house having like a group aerobic workout. Mm-hmm. But like imagine us in front of our house and all the neighbors. So I mean, people could have done stuff like that. It was just one of them times where I don't want to say nobody knew the right thing to do because nobody had ever been through this. And it was like, look, do his best, but we going to give you a few things that aren't going to hurt you. They knew now it wasn't going to help you,
right? But
it wasn't going to hurt. Now they did hurt us with those vaccines, and I'm going to stand on that.
And also, there's a lot of people who sat around at COVID because that's what we were doing, sitting around and gained weight because we was all sedentary. There's also a small group of people out there who worked out at home, and just like the whole thing was like our best time together. For some people, they got fit.
Yeah.
Like at home.
Yeah, they
with
did.
kettlebells and body work. Like some people was locked in the house and had shit to do and lost 50 pounds.
Well, let's also not forget this, right? Just like he didn't actually know, think about the doctors who were putting people on ventilators at the beginning because they didn't know. Right. Like people were winging it, doing what they thought was best because nobody knew. Like people died. Lots of people died.
In hindsight, I would just feel like, and I got vaxxed, you got vaxxed. So in hindsight, I'm saying I would rather not know that he admits to making up COVID rules.
I wonder why is he saying
that? And because he's probably writing a book. That's what I would guess. And I would want the truth. I would just want you to be like, we don't know what this is. We're all learning at the same time, but I wouldn't want you to make up shit because just don't lie to us because you got us out here doing shit. You know how many people were fighting and like the problems with the mask, people going in stores and restaurants and all, like it was just a mess because of you made up some stuff. And I think if I was in that position and I'm this doctor who's supposed to speak to people, you put me at the podium in front of 100 million people, I don't think I want to lie. Like, I just don't feel like I don't think this is, like you all was saying when the kids was here, what makes you think this is a good idea to lie to 100 million people? Like, this is going to go wrong. They're going to catch me in it at one point.
Yeah, but I feel like, too, he didn't, like, that wasn't just at his discretion to do so. They was pushing him to, like John Q, do something, John. They were saying, do something, Fauci. And, you know, he did what he had to do.
Let's do a wrap. A2TP Podcast, episode 178, coming to a close. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Podchaser, Google Podcast, Player FM. It's all the places and platforms you can find our face. It's a pleasure for us to bring you this podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed it. These pods have been dope lately, so y'all need to watch them. They've really been good. It is.
Your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And it's your boy International Walt throwing it back to
your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest, with just a reminder that this is Men's Health Month. Ask a man how he is and really care how he is.
If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.